Guys, did you hear? Starfield has a huge update. Yeah, I'm sure the last 5 people left playing care.
Guys, Wes here, welcome back to the channel, and today we've got a ton of news to talk about for Starfield.
Oh,
Bethesda
boy.
just hit a massive milestone for the release of Starfield. That bodes well for the future of this game and franchise. We've got some game-changing mods that have just been released.
Just from that sentence alone, you know this is a Bethesda fanboy extreme video, okay?
That you guys are definitely going to want to try. We're also going to talk about the news that Starfield is now rated worse than Fallout 76 on the Steam platform. As we inch closer,
The fact that it's not the worst Bethesda game ever is a miracle on itself.
to Starfield being about a month old, we're going to talk about when the next big update's going to release. And with Starfield already having its first DLC revealed named Shattered Space, we're going to talk about what that will include, as well as how big it's going to be, how much it's going to cost, and when we could expect a release date. Also, real quick, guys, if you'd like to win a PlayStation 5, I'm giving one away to a lucky subscriber. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to the channel, comment your Twitter handle, tweet me proof that you're subscribed. I've got the full details in the
Yeah, you can just do that on my channel also. It's fine, trust me, bruh.
pinned comment, as well as bonus entries. We have a ton of stuff to talk about, so check the video chapters to optimize your viewing experience. And without further delay, let's get into it. Starting things off, we've got our first bit of news, and that's coming from Bethesda Game Studios. The team recently announced that they hit a major milestone with Starfield's launch, and that is 10 million players have played Starfield. This bodes
Technically a free-to-game play by one of the biggest, most well-known gaming developer companies in history. Wow. Yeah. Now, just remove the people who are playing this for free because they have been Xbox Game Pass subscriber for 5 years straight without playing a single game. Remove those people and see how many are left.
really well to the future of this game and franchise. According to the post, it says, "Thank you to more than 10 million Starfield explorers for creating the biggest launch in Bethesda history," which is actually pretty wild to think about. Like, this is 10 million players shortly after launch, and for this being a brand
No, it's not 10 million players. They are using obfuscating language. If you read that post and analyze it, it doesn't tell you that, hey, 10 million players actually played this game. No, it does not.
brand new game from Bethesda Game Studios, their first new IP in 25 years. It's an insane accomplishment, and it just bodes well to the future of the game. So for comparison, the multi-platform Skyrim sold 3.4 million physical copies in the first 48 hours of release, and then it shipped 7 million copies in the first week of the game's release. 2 years later, Skyrim climbed up to 20.
So you're telling me Skyrim did better than this, when Bethesda wasn't the biggest company? Skyrim actually put Bethesda on the super map, you know? Oblivion, Fallout, those were things, you know? Bethesda was pretty big. But Skyrim put Bethesda on everyone's radar. So you're telling me Starfield is actually doing that bad? Wow.
20 million copies sold, and as of June of 2023, Skyrim has sold over 60 million copies. So yeah, the fact that Starfield has 10 million players this close to launch is a major win for the team, and it bodes well to the longevity of Starfield. Like, you know that there's going to be post-launch support now that there's 10 million players.
There's not gonna be any post-launch support. Bethesda never fixes any bugs. This is what the mods are for. You know, the people who get to fix the game for Bethesda for free. You know, those losers. Yeah, them. They're gonna fix the game, maybe. And you know what's the worst part about mods? Less than 1% of people use mods. Less than 1% of people will ever try and will ever even think about actually installing a mod, let alone install it in reality.
And that number is going to continue to skyrocket as it lives on Game Pass and gets future DLC and, of course, mod support. And that is the perfect segue to our next topic, and that is Starfield is getting a ton of mods even before the creation kit is out, and some of these mods are completely game-changing. For instance, like the new Seamless Spaceflight mod that has taken the entire community by storm, because gone are the days of having to fast travel to every single location in Starfield, especially whenever it comes to inter-system travel. One of the biggest complaints.
Wait. Did you not actually previously try to tell all of us that, oh, you don't even want to just, you know, travel between the stars like that? That's boring. Aren't you the same people who told us you should be happy fast travel exists because just space travel like this is boring? Doesn't seem people agree. Wow, imagine that. Bethesda fanboys lying about something. Wow. Okay. Also, again, mods are literally doing things day one almost. Well, this is not a day one mod, but there were plenty of day one mods that fix the game, make it better. So, Bethesda didn't even care to make the bare bones experience in this game. They just didn't give a shit at all. That's crazy. That is just so crazy that Bethesda couldn't even care that little about the game. And yeah, again, it's nice that there is a mod that does this, but less than 1% of people playing this game will even consider playing a mod. That's the reality of the situation.
That I've seen for Starfield, despite having confirmation that it wasn't going to be an option, is the in-system space travel. So essentially, you going from planet to planet without doing any type of fast traveling or cutscene or just loading screen. The mod is called Slower Than Light.
I mean, this does look lame because it's bad, as you can see.
Fly in a star system. So the overview, according to the Nexus mod.
Okay, so this is gonna take 100 seconds to get to the destination. Yeah, you know what? Maybe yeah, bring fast travel back. If it's this bad, I don't want
website.
it.
They said, simply put, the Slower Than Light plugin allows you to control the speed gears via hotkeys, with the highest gear being equivalent to more than 100 times the speed of light. They said that there's also a set of hotkeys for slowing down and resetting the current scene to fix the problem of planets not loading. They said the implementation of this mod is rather crude, and they're not able to get it perfectly done until the creation kit is released. Now, the craziest thing about all of this is the mod developer 105 Gun has never made a Bethesda mod before. This is their first time developing a Bethesda game mod, and it's just kind of crazy. The fact that we're getting mods like to this scale without the creation kit being available is pretty wild to me. Like the sheer amount of things we're gonna see made in Star.
No one except Bethesda fanboys care about mods. No one. Stop saying that mods will fix everything. Mods are not gonna fix anything for 99.9% of the players. Okay? It's just not happening.
Starfield, because of creation kit, will literally be out of this world. If you want to download the mod, it's called Slower Than Light. Like I said, I've got a link in the description. So kudos to 105 Gun for making this possible. So moving right along, Starfield just got another game-changing mod, but this one adds DLSS in a better way. It actually adds in-game options for DLSS for frame generation for those of you with a 4000 series card. Now the entire saga for a DLSS.
Look at this. 20k downloads. I'm sorry, did you not just boast about 10 million players just now? And now this thing that improves performance so drastically, and by the way, has been out for multiple days. This is a pretty slow uptick on what's happening. This thing has been out for a week and a half at least. And it only has 20k downloads. Do the math. What percent is 20k off of 10 million? Not a lot now, is it, Chief?
DLSS mod will be coming to an end very soon once Bethesda adds it in game. But if you play on PC and you want to maximize your performance and you've got a 4000 series card with frame generation, then adding this free DLSS mod is going to be a game-changing performance improvement for you guys. According to the mod description on the Nexus Mods website, I've got a link in the description. They said this mod does what it says. It enables support for NVIDIA's frame generation, DLSS, and reflex using Streamline SDK. It also embeds custom options for Starfield's display settings menu, which are automatically saved. The other mods that added DLSS and frame generation to the game were pretty solid. One of them was paid, unfortunately, but this one is a completely free mod.
Paid, unfortunately. Oh yeah, this is the Bethesda fanboys wishing and screeching on every. Hey, you made a mod that makes the game 10 times better. How dare you ask for money? Did you just not spend $100 on a piece of shit game that doesn't work properly? You're spending all this money on shit that on complete shit, and now you're pissed that some guy makes a mod that makes the game 100 times better, and you can't even give him $5 for it, and you're demanding that this is free. I hate Bethesda fanboys so absolutely much, it's insane, because these people have no ties to reality, it seems like. They're demanding that everything is free, that your work be accessible then for free, And they're lying constantly. It's insanity.
And it's by far the best one, not just because it's free, but it also allows you to edit the settings in game rather than having to use a reshade overlay or having to restart every time you wanted to update settings. But yeah, like I said before though, all of these mods will be pointless once Bethesda adds DLSS support to the game natively without having to mod the game.
Why do you think Bethesda will ever add DLSS support natively to the game? Why do you think they will do that? How many game updates has Bethesda done to any of their games ever? None. Not a single one. The only thing that Bethesda has ever fixed in any single one of their games is completely game-breaking, or in the case of Fallout 76, microtransaction not enabling updates. That's the only thing they do. If there's some kind of bug that, you know, a lot of people experience, by the way. If only some of you experience this bug, Bethesda won't even fix that, okay? Your game is bricked. You have fun with that. Make a new character. What do they care, loser? They will not update the game at all. Only for the biggest game-breaking bugs or anything that negatively impacts the microtransaction shop. Other than that, Bethesda will never update the game.
Which is obviously really good news. Now, when that update's going to release, your guess is as good as mine, but hopefully it's sooner rather than later. Next up, there has been a big hot topic in the community regarding Starfield reviews. Well, according to the Steam database, Starfield is now reviewed lower than Fallout 76, which is just completely wild to me. So according to PC Games Den, according to the
Fallout 76, even though it was absolute trash, unplayable garbage on release, and still is, by the way, I played it 6 months ago, shit, you do not play this game. It's garbage. It's unbalanced, unfun. You can still target things through walls with VATS. You can still take damage through walls. The NPCs constantly clip through objects. You can shoot a car and make it explode until the moment of explosion. NPC is going to still be like, I like this car. I wonder why it's on fire. It's Fallout 76 is just absolute garbage. And the fact that Starfield is still this much up is insane. This game is honestly a 3 or 4 in my opinion out of 10. It's a loading screen, a simulator, nothing else.
Starfield user reviews, they amount to an aggregated score of 71.72% according to SteamDB, and it places Starfield just slightly below Fallout 76 at a 71.76. Compared to all other Bethesda games, Starfield has a lower score than many of the studio's releases from the last 2 decades, they said. Fallout 4 is rated at an 81.88, Skyrim at a 93.88, Fallout 3 at a...
Fallout 4 wasn't great, but man, Fallout 4 is a masterpiece compared to Starfield. Starfield has no dialogue options, no weapon variety. Half the game is logged by talent perks that you don't have enough. This is the only game where lockpicking feels sad and bad because there's no rewards behind it. This is the only game where, you know, dialogue options literally don't mean anything, because the only way you can finish a quest ever is just shoot them or get something from them through talking. And it's super lame. There's no interesting. There's no outcome for a quest that's, you know, not pre-scripted. It can't happen. All of the NPCs are, well, most of the NPCs are marked as unkillable because they're integral to the story. Even, and by the way, this happens multiple times. You have NPCs that flat out in public say that they're gonna kill you, and when you shoot them, you can't kill them because they're invulnerable, because they're quest NPCs, which means you can't kill them. It's so stupid. It's so absolutely just dumb. Okay, space combat is bad. There's no exploration. Planets are empty, so you don't want the exploration in the first case. The gunplay is absolutely imbalanced. You know. You need 100 bullets to take down a level 2 basic mob. It's absolute garbage. That not Fallout, but Starfield has so unbelievably many flaws with it. It is just, you can't even list them all.
a 78.52. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion has a higher rating at 93.76, as it does with Morrowind as well, they said, at a 93.14. And then the one that's the lowest is Fallout 4 VR rating at a 60.92%. Now, this is, of course, the review aggregated score on the Steam DB from all of the users on Steam, giving it a 71.72, which is just kind of weird to me. Obviously, there's some players that have a bad experience with Starfield. One, they just weren't a fan of it. A lot of people...
Some. 30% of this, 30% of people could not last an hour in Starfield. There's literally an achievement, by the way, that you get roughly an hour. Worst case scenario, 2 hours into the game. And 30% of people have not even gotten that. More than 30% of people. 15% of people couldn't even survive, finish. 15% of people couldn't even finish the first 10 minutes of the game because it's so boring. The dialogues feel like they're written by 10-year-olds. Not in a single point that is a dialogue ever convincing in Starfield. Like, the game doesn't even try to convince you. It's either you're hooked and you go with everything it says without questioning anything, or you're gonna think that the dialogue is made by a 10-year-old.
Thought the main story was kind of slow, even though I really enjoyed it. Needless to say, the overall review scores of Starfield has been a very hot topic in the community. A lot of people thinking that some of the reviews were just kind of outlandish, with Metro UK giving it a 6 out of 10, even though they're really salty, with IGN giving it a 7 out of 10, PC Gamer giving it a 7.5 out of 10, stating that it's a Bethesda's biggest RPG, but nowhere near its best. The Starfield Metacritic rating...
Oh, by the way, this is Neon. Starfield fanboys are gonna tell you that this looks better than Cyberpunk 2077, by the way. Bethesda fanboys are unironically gonna tell you that this looks better than Cyberpunk 2077. Even when it came out and it was absolutely unplayable, that game was 10 times more gorgeous than this.
Nowhere near its best. The Starfield Metacritic rating is sitting at an 84% based on 81 reviews. Now, in one camp, there's the fans of Bethesda games that have loved all of the games in the past and really enjoyed Starfield for what it was. And then there's the haters on the other side that are just like, this game is just mid. Why does anyone like it? The game shouldn't even deserve an 84. It should be a 54 just because Microsoft equals bad. So now that we are close to a month since Starfield's release and we've already had our first patch for the game, the question really remains, when is the next update coming and what is that going to contain? Obviously, with Starfield having 10 million players playing the game, there's bound to...
Also, by the way, he did the classic, oh, if you don't like Starfield, you're just a PlayStation fan pony, or whatever it's called. Bruh, I don't own a PlayStation. I'm just a basic person who can see shit when he sees shit, and Starfield is nothing but shit.
To be issues and bugs and glitches that still have to be resolved, which they likely will. Starfield is the least buggy Bethesda game that I've ever played, but there are still some big issues with...
Yes, again, let's treat this game like it's some kind of special needs child. The least buggy Bethesda game. Still buggy, still way more buggy than the average game. T-posing, floating through walls, animations... But I'm sure Bethesda fanboys are going to tell you, oh, floating through walls is funny. Oh, the facial animations just don't look at the NPC's face. Yeah.
Some quest blockers like the May Divine Red Mile quest. I'm still not able to complete that quest, which is really unfortunate because I want to complete the game 100%. So I really hope Bethesda gets that fixed soon. I don't want to have to enable console commands so that I can finally do the quest. There's also a massive Starfield glitch that allows you to get 9 million plus credits per hour. So yeah, that's a big one that I'm sure Bethesda will be getting sorted out. With performance being a hot topic on the PC version and on the Xbox version, I'm sure we're going to get some stability and performance improvements once the next update comes out.
No,
I'm guessing
you won't.
The next update will only be a hot fix.
Wait, also. Wait a minute.
Performance improvements once the next
shading just loads in here.
Next update comes out.
Yeah, see? Oh my god, and then it vanishes. Game of the year, boys.
I'm guessing the next update will only be a hotfix rather than a full update, just like they did with the first update they released. The bigger additions like FOV slider and DLSS will likely happen in a future title update rather than just a regular patch, which I'm not expecting until sometime around the mid of next month. I'm hoping we do get a hotfix though for some of the quest blockers sometime, hopefully.
So essentially, he's saying, modders made these changes that are pivotal to the game in day one. Bethesda now needs 2 months to fix basic issues. Yeah, seems about right. You know what Bethesda's actually doing? They're gonna release a Field of View slider. By the way, after this has been a problem for their past how many games now, and that they know this is a problem, but you know they still won't introduce a Field of View slider in the game instantaneously. You know, because fuck you, essentially. All right. They're gonna release that update with like one fix to something that no one cares about 3 months after release, and then they're never gonna do anything again because people will have already forgotten about it.
Next week, but we will have to wait and see. It might be pushed into the first week of October, but I doubt that. I think we're going to get an update pretty soon, as it has been quite a while since the last update that we got. Now, there's no denying the fact that Starfield is not a perfect game. In my review, I talked about some of the flaws as well as some of my positives, and I typically just don't give ratings for games. I think the thing that's causing so much tension throughout the entire community and the entire industry is video game review aggregates. Websites like OpenCritic and Metacritic basically take all of the reviews and then average them out into a singular score. There is a bit of vetting that happens, but not really on the Steam database. If you've played and owned the game, you're able to leave a review, and that review will affect the overall rating that determines whether the game is mostly positive, overwhelmingly positive, mostly negative, and so on and so forth. It seems lately that if a game doesn't hit a 90 rating on Metacritic or OpenCritic, then it's just a bad game, when that's not even close to being the case. It's just where the conversation is at nowadays. At the end of the day, the only review for games that matter is your own. People need to stop giving so much credence to game review aggregators like Metacritic and OpenCritic and the SteamDB. If you're on the fence about buying Starfield, I recommend check.
By the way, he's not mentioning the fact that, you know, every other company that was given a preview copy of this for rating gave it a 10 out of 10. He's only talking about the ones that didn't give this game a 10 out of 10. Food for thought.
Checking out video reviews or even just live streams of the game. Like, there's so many times where I don't buy a game until I've watched a stream of it, and then once I see something that's intriguing or I kind of get the vibe about the game, then I'll make the decision if I want to pick the game up or not. So yeah, who cares about the Steam reviews? Who cares about the overall review scores of Starfield? Play the game or don't play the game. It's as simple as that. Moving right along, with Starfield already having the very first DLC revealed called Shattered Space, I'd like to talk about when that release day will happen and what it could potentially include. Now, for those of you that don't know, the first DLC for Starfield has already been revealed, and it is called Shattered Space. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to get a new location for the DLC or if it's going to be a situation where we get a new system that is a named system, similar to how Alpha Centauri is named, the Sol system, and so on and so forth. Basically, there's a bunch of dots that we don't have the name on them, but then there are some that are named locations. Now, in that system, I think there's going to be a location that will have life that is not human, that is intelligent life, and it will shatter how we think of the—
wow, look at that. Bethesda figured out that people want aliens.
The overall universe. One of the things that Todd Howard has talked about is finding alien life outside of the system that's intelligent, and I think that's going to be the theme of the first DLC. They like to have fun with their DLC. If you've ever played any Fallout DLC, then you know it's going to be pretty crazy. Like, Nuka World was insane, same with Far Harbor. Fallout 4 had amazing DLC, and if you haven't played—
yeah, but those were, at the bare minimum, you could call them reasonable games, okay? Starfield is not even close to being reasonable or good.
Then I recommend checking them out. Now, obviously, just going off the name, it's hard to determine what this DLC will be about. I personally think it's going to have to do with aliens.
It's going to be... my bet currently is Shattered Space means that it's going to be the most generic, oh, you're the hero who needs to save the universe from something bad. That's what it's going to be.
but the entire game has been kind of that sci-fi setting, so who knows what they decide to do. Now, as for when that's going to release, I think it's going to be a situation where it's going to come out sometime in the next year. If you guys remember how Fallout 4 did things, they had some smaller DLC like Automatron, and then a few months later we got Far Harbor, but I think for this one they're going to have Shattered Space as the bigger story DLC and then release it sometime in the next year after they release mod support, which will likely happen early 2024. But either way, guys, I'm really excited to see what they add for the DLC of Starfield. Now that there's
same, I want to fund that content real bad.
10 million players on Starfield and it has financial success, it is all good news for the future.
What financial success? The majority of the players are on Xbox and they're playing it on Game Pass. They didn't pay shit for it for Bethesda. Bethesda is essentially receiving no money for this game.
Support of this game. But yeah, guys, that's gonna wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do me a favor and
you're a fanboy who talks good about it, but it was a fun video. I did enjoy it. Ves Nemo. Nice. Hey, I love Starfield fanboys. It's great to hear their copium cries. It is what it is. Anyway, this was Quizzer Citizen. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye bye.